Saturday marks President Trump's 100th day in office, and the White House is looking to put major wins on the board by proposing a massive tax cut plan while also renewing its health care push.
We want to go when we're ready to go, and we're having this. This has been a very organic bottom-up process. It takes time to do that. We're doing big things, and you know me. I talked about 200 days. We're working on the path to get it right and not constrain it to some artificial deadline.
The president wants a vote and wants a health care system as soon as possible, but that's going to be dictated by the speaker and the majority leader and the majority whip in the House when they feel they have the votes. That being said, as we've now maintained for the last several days, we feel very positive about the work that's being done to get to that and the reaction that we're having.
The Trump administration is simultaneously facing a test on the world stage from North Korea and its alarming nuclear weapons program. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson spoke about the issue earlier with our own Brett Baer.
We've put in place a very deliberate strategy, which we are just in the early stages of executing, and it is one that does involve bringing significant pressure to bear on the regime in Pyongyang. It also involves calling on China to play a role in how we deal with this threat. We have been very clear. We do not seek regime change in North Korea. We're not seeking a collapse of the regime. We are not seeking to find some excuse for an accelerated reunification of the peninsula. What we are seeking is the same thing China has said they seek, a full denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula.
A new poll from Fox News shows voters favor using military action to stop North Korea's nuclear weapons program by a 53-39 margin. And we're going to get to North Korea in a minute. But Chris Wallace, since we have you here, I thought I'd start with a bigger picture about Washington, because 2 weeks ago, the administration seemed sort of bogged down and beleaguered. But then in the last, I think, 10 days, they've figured out a way to get on offense and finish out this first 100 days sort of on a higher note than you would have thought of 2 weeks ago. Do you agree?
I agree with that. I do find it funny that the president 2 weeks ago was saying that the 100 days was a ridiculous and artificial deadline, and why do we care about it? And he has done more than any president I've ever seen to try to accomplish things, put points on the board by the 100 days. Sometimes I think a little too frantically with, pushing the health care vote. It's got to happen this week, not next week, because then it'd be over 100 days. But having said that, there is a sense of activity. There is a sense of offense, whether it's on trade, whether it's on taxes, whether it's on North Korea. And also, frankly, I don't think the president has been shooting himself in the foot with getting off the track with tweets and things like that. So I think it's been a pretty good couple of weeks for him.
It's interesting, Kimberly, in getting ready for this, I was thinking of the things that you could say as accomplishments. And Neil Gorsuch, putting him on the Supreme Court in that first 100 days, actually first 80 days, was such a big accomplishment. But it's almost, because it was kind of easy, relatively easy to get it done, even though there was that vote in the Senate, it's almost as if that huge accomplishment is not getting enough attention.
I think you're right. It's burying the lead, essentially, because it probably was the most significant in terms of his accomplishments in the first 100 days. It certainly is one that's going to live on. It's going to be a legacy that's going to be tied to this president for many years after he is no longer, I believe, in office. This was a tremendous win for him in terms of a great pick, a really seasoned judicial scholar, someone that was well respected and really admired by all sides. I think the ease and the efficiency in which they were able to get him, confirmed, I think because they played that one out smart. It was well played. It was well executed. So that's I would say, probably the #1 accomplishment they've had so far.
And how do you think they could turn this week's momentum into something that can last for the next, I think it's 1,248 days after the 100?
I think they need to learn from their wins in terms of how they handled those things, the messaging, the communication. Sometimes they have very good ideas. He was, very earnest in his desire to accomplish a lot of things in a quick period of time. But sometimes you don't want to try and push it through like health care until you're certain that you have those votes. So carrying forward, I would carry the theme of foreign policy, national security, making sure that America is secure. He's being tough on immigration. And now we have a very interesting development as it relates to North Korea, which obviously tensions very high there. And this is coming at a pivotal point very early on in his presidency. So he's going to have to show the strength here and then carry that theme through so that he is well regarded.
Greg, you've talked a lot about the death of ideology when it comes to President Trump. And then you had the tax cut plan. It was like a little more than a one-pager, but enough to get the ball rolling. And then you have the health care bill maybe coming. And do you see that there's any way to sort of break the partisan logjams in D.C. based on his style and approach?
Well, his style is, he's like a street magician. He's constantly doing a lot of different things. One hand is over here, then he's doing something else. And it's confusing to his adversaries. But first, I just want to talk about Rex Tillerson. Whenever I see him, it's comforting to me. It's like it makes me feel good that he's there. He's calm and he's stoic. He means business. He's like a museum bust, like a portable Rushmore. When you look at him, he's not John Kerry. You know, with John Kerry was Eeyore, and he's the Iron Giant. It's like you would never
like Chris Wallace.
You will never see Tillerson bring James Taylor anywhere. He might bring Deep Purple or Slayer, but he won't bring James Taylor. Now, back to the ideology thing. What Trump has done is he's replaced ideology with negotiation, and it's so predictable that it's getting repetitious, kind of in a good way. Trump begins by going extreme, which unsettles people. Everyone takes notice. There's a bit of chaos. He did this on trade. He did this on the border. He did this on
yesterday.
NAFTA, North Korea. Then it moves towards dialogue and compromise. So in a way, he's like a parent who throws his child into the pool, and it's very cold. And he drops in, the kid's screaming, and then all of a sudden the kid doesn't want to get out of the pool for the rest of the day. That's what he does. He starts out extreme, and then he moves into kind of a comfortable area where everybody goes, okay, he's not evil. Oh, maybe he's not incompetent, and maybe he can be reasoned with. And I think he's taking the wind out of a lot of the anti-Trump sails because of this.
What do you think, Juan, though? Because do you think the Democrats have figured out a way to deal with
beneath
him?
his
Well, I
wings.
was wowed
Wind
by
beneath his
Gregory.
water wings.
Gregory wows me regularly, but that was a wow because to my eyes, what we're seeing is a salvage operation. I mean, this is a guy who felt like, you know what? Oh my gosh, this 100 days is coming. And my major accomplishments haven't happened. And guess what? It was Republicans calling him on the failure to do tax cuts, the failure to do repeal and replace. Republicans are, but I must say, they did it at no cost because the polls show that the Trump base remains in place. What he's lost are people in the middle who were open to Trump and who now say, well, maybe he's, you know, not what he said he was, and they don't have any faith in him when it comes to, no, it says
He still would get
independent
elected.
voters.
And he would even peel off votes from Hillary.
Wait. He'd still get elected against Hillary Clinton.
Yes, I know.
That's right. That's amazing.
Fair point, Chris.
That's amazing.
Why do we have
43
Why is
to
he here?
40%. He's the grown-up at the end.
But I just want to say that when it comes to something like North Korea, that we're on edge about this very night in terms of what Rex Tillerson said. And by the way, people in the State Department do not think Rex Tillerson is the second coming of Christ. Let me just tell you that.
I don't care what the State
I'm
Department
gonna tell you
thinks.
something.
I care what's in my brain.
Yeah, I get that impression.
Yeah, but, you know, let me say this. One of the reasons I think that Trump has had a good couple of weeks because you have seen more of his team, the national security team, McMaster,
Yes.
Mattis,
They're impressive.
Tillerson.
That's his
They're
strength.
impressive.
Including on Fox News Sunday.
Say that again?
Including on Fox News Sunday,
yes,
right? You have
especially on Fox News Sunday. We won't have the president, but you didn't have to rub that in on Sunday. But having said that, and the economic team with Mnuchin and Cohn and Wilbur Ross, the Commerce Secretary, was in the briefing room the other day and with the White House press, and they started asking him tough questions about soft lumber and tariffs. He killed them.
He did.
He absolutely. So they were all like, whoa,
he's
this guy
a
knows
fun
what he's
guy.
talking about.
But the other side of this is, you know, the criticism of the tax bill today. We'll come to much of this later, but it looks like it was for Goldman Sachs, written by Goldman Sachs, and takes care of Goldman Sachs type people. And so at some point you're going to say,
that's
what's
a good
going on?
tease for the D block because I have got a great point for that I'm going to say for them because I want to ask Chris
wow.
Wallace about
Everybody
this.
stick around. Dana's got a great point.
And I haven't had a great point journal. I'm going to stick it to my great point journal. Okay, right before we went to air, President Trump told Reuters that a major conflict with North Korea is possible, but that he prefers a diplomatic outcome. And Chris, earlier today, I thought the president's team, Rex Tillerson, made some pretty big news on NPR. He said that the administration would favor direct talks with North Korea, which would be quite different than what you've seen in the last couple of decades.
Three presidents, Clinton, Bush, and Obama, the feeling has always been you got to do it regionally because if we get in a negotiation with them, then they can say that we're the ones who have messed things up and you want to make it a regional problem because it is a regional problem. There was a fascinating poll that came out. It's the Fox poll, and it says that 53% of Americans want to see us take military action right now to take out the nuclear program. I got to say, and this is going to probably be the end, I won't be back, guys, for the B block. That is such a mistake. If you've ever been to South Korea, and I was there with Ronald Reagan in 1983, a little summit dropping there, The DMZ is 30 miles. North
Yes.
Korea is 30 miles from Seoul. There are 25 million people there.
Right.
They have thousands of short-range missiles aimed at Seoul. If we were to take out their nuclear program or their missiles, millions of people would die.
And U.S. military there
Yeah,
as
but
well.
this is
Yes, 25,000 Americans.
Yeah, I mean, this
This
a
is the
big
point
deal.
I just made earlier. What did he say?
No, that- you're exactly
what did
right.
he say? He says that we could be heading towards this. He begins with bluster. It will move slowly towards compromise. There's good. I mean, it's like, unlike Obama, Trump leads with his fist instead of showing his hand, and that's what he's doing right now. It's good news in the sense that when a bully unites two classmates who previously weren't pals, maybe North Korea is the glue that brings China and America together. It's like Regina George in Mean Girls.
Excuse
Exactly
me,
like
but
that.
has China done anything?
No, it's a good point.
Remember
it's
the chocolate
no,
cake?
it's a good point.
Oh, the chocolate cake.
It's a good point,
China's gonna
Juan,
do
but it
and we're
could-
going to not have to call them currency.
But they
manipulation.
have
You want to go to war
They
with
could
No,
be-
I don't. I absolutely don't. But I must say, I was struck by the same poll you were struck by, because I think Americans want action. Everybody thinks this guy is a nutbag, right? So they say, oh, do something. Get that guy out of there. But they forget China hasn't done anything, and China is
But
a
China's
major
starting to
threat.
do
I
more.
think China
They
has
haven't done a thing.
And let me
not
just quickly
true.
say,
China has stepped up.
Tillerson, in his interview with Brett Baer today, said we are in the early stages of executing. So for all the talk about we're at the brink of war, we're not.
Yeah.
And also, I do think that the saying that they want direct talks with North Korea could be a head fake to make China do more as well. So
Because
it all
if you
could be
don't-
like a strategy that we don't understand.
That's if you don't
although
get it
it's
done,
coming
we
together.
will step in.